Most traders, they fail not because they overtrade, but because they do it in the wrong times. Most of you guys are overtrading during the consolidation, and that's another word for choppiness, right? When the market is moving sideways, it has no true direction. That is when most of you guys tend to overtrade, and that's why it causes you to lose. And in the past, I've even traded 3 sessions because I did a VIP group in the morning, I did my Asia session live stream, and then I traded with a live account challenge group in London session. So I would be trading 3 sessions of the day, and I still had a very high win rate, and we ended up winning most of the trades that we were taking. And the reason why is because I knew when to trade. I knew that every session had a different characteristic. So in this video, I'm going to be covering session characteristics and kill zones. Those are specific times that you should be aiming to trade, place your trade, and close your trade within a specific window. So if you guys are trading outside of this window, this is why your overtrading is causing you to lose. And I'm not telling you guys should be overtrading, because either way, overtrading isn't something you should optimally even want to do. But I'm telling you guys, if you still are confident in your narrative, you still think it's going to play out, then there's specific windows that you can still take trades. Make sure that you either do it in this window or you don't trade at all. So let's hop straight into the charts. Let me show you guys the ICT kill zones. All right, boys, the first thing I'm going to cover is this indicator just because it's helpful for everybody. And it's one of those things that just doesn't really get in the way. It doesn't really mislead you, right? Because there are some indicators out there that do mislead you. There are some indicators out there that show you stuff that you don't even need to be looking at. But this is not one of those indicators, and that's why I've been using it for the last 6 years that I've been trading. I've been using this kill zones indicator. You guys can search up ICT kill zones by 28 trades, and you can split it up. It'll only be visible in the lower time frame because obviously you can only see kill zones in the lower time frame. It's from a specific time to a specific time. So I'm going to be covering the kill zones in my time zone, which is Pacific Standard Time. Just translate it to whatever time zone you are currently in so you guys can better remember and understand them. But I'm in Pacific Standard Time, and this is when Asia session starts. It starts at 5 p.m. So you guys can, in the beginning, just mark it out. But what are ICT kill zones? Pretty much it goes along with the pair that you're trading because it has to do with the currency that happens during that session. So for example, there are 3 main sessions: Asia, London, New York. For Asia session, it's going to be the Japanese yen. Asia, obviously JPY, any yen pairs, like any other currency that have something to do with Asia, because that's when in their time zone the banks are opening. So that's when the market would be volatile during Asia session, or also known as Tokyo session. So if you guys are trading any JPY pairs like USD JPY, it's going to be moving during Asia session. It's also going to be moving during New York session. And the reason why that is because New York is based off of the US dollar. So it's going to be all the USD pairs. And then London session is going to be the Great British Pound and then the Euro. So you want to make sure that you're only trading the session that is correlated with your pair. Now, just because your pair might have moved a few times during another session does not mean you should be trading it during the session. That has nothing to do with the currency. But you guys will see on pairs like gold, it's typically volatile during every single session. That's why I like trading gold. But also you'll begin to understand if there's certain news that's happening in Japan, those news are going to affect the Asia session. That's when market is going to be extremely volatile in Asia session. If there's going to be some stuff that Trump is saying, any US president or any US news, it's going to affect the New York session the most. If there's anything that's happening in the UK, anything that's said in the UK that's going to affect the markets, and obviously London session is going to take the biggest hit. It's going to be the most volatile. That's how this works. And you guys are supposed to be aiming to trade only within these sessions. Now, this indicator, I don't usually trade New York, but it is off by 1 hour just for New York session. It typically starts at 4 a.m. That's when New York market opens up. And how does it work in terms of like market closing? So how I think about Asia session closing, it's pretty much like when the new daily candle opens, it's going to be the first session of the day, and it goes until the next major thing. And the next major thing, in my opinion, is 9 p.m. because that's midnight open. And in Eastern time, midnight open is the transition from the previous day into the next day. So if you guys will see right here in my time as well, it's going to be 12 a.m. right here, 12 a.m. And that's when it transitions from, as you can see on the bottom, Wednesday into Thursday. So that is the official midnight open because it's based off of the Eastern time zone. I'm just showing you guys in my time zone, so that's 9 p.m. So when 9 p.m., that's when it transitions from the previous day into the new day. That's also another concept that you guys can use. The way that you use midnight open is similar to how you would use like the daily candle open. Pretty much when it comes below it, if it's a bullish daily candle, anything below the midnight open is a great opportunity. It's a high probability area to go long, because if you're expecting the end of the day to be bullish, then midnight open, anything below it is a high probability area. It's pretty much as if you're getting inside of the wick of the daily candle. So here's the daily candle. If you're trading below midnight open, that's technically trading below the open of the daily candle, and that's where you're pretty much inside of the wick, and you catch the best entries for a expansion trade of the entire daily range. So that is why I typically end Asia session at around 9 p.m. That's why I think it ends at 9 instead of as it says right here. Okay, it does say 9, so perfect. So like Asia session ranges from 5 to 9, and the kill zones are pretty much the open of the session. So it's like the first hour typically, where you would get a ton of volume, right? Then there's also different characteristics. One of those things that I like using inside of Asia sessions, quarterly theory. For London session, it's the Judas swing. So for those of you guys that have heard of the story from the Bible of Judas, he betrayed Jesus, right? ICT, the guy who came up with this model, named it after that because pretty much Judas swing betrays you. It's the opposite direction of the narrative. So let's imagine Asia session is bullish because the daily candle is expanding up, right? You're getting a nice, beautiful expansion, but London session reverses on you, especially the first hour. And pretty much it fakes out a lot of people because it makes you think that, oh, it's running this direction now. But this is just a fake out move, and that's one of the characteristics of London session, is to fake you out. And instead it takes out this liquidity, continues towards the true narrative, but now you're out of your position. You got taken out and you thought that it was reversing, when in reality it was just another liquidity sweep. It was a fake out move before the real expansion happened. New York session typically just magnifies whatever's going on. There's a lot of reversals that typically happen in New York session as well, especially if I'm trading in Asia session. I get a beautiful trade. Sometimes we get a news event, and so New York is one of those sessions where you want to pull up Forex Factory and check if there's any news events. So you can see right here we got CPI Thursday and Friday, so that's going to be tomorrow and then Friday. So these are high impact news events, and that's going to happen in New York session. So based on what the news event does, that's where you guys will either get a reversal or that's where you guys will get a continuation. The news is very volatile, and oftentimes we even get some consolidation the day before. So if we're getting a high impact news event, we might get some consolidation like this before a manipulation and expansion in New York session. So you guys, you have to have these tools in your toolboxes. You want to make sure that you understand that the pair that you're trading aligns with one of these sessions, right? You want to be trading gold during Asia session or gold during New York session. You want to be trading NASDAQ during New York session. You don't want to be trading NASDAQ during Asia session. If you're trading Forex pairs, you don't want to be trading the wrong Forex pair in the wrong session. And when you are trading a specific Forex pair, you look for specific times inside of these sessions to be trading them at, because there are different kill zones. Each kill zone has its own characteristics. So we can dive deeper into the actual characteristics of the sessions. For example, as I said, Asia session, that's the first session of the day. And that pretty much gives us a new daily candle. So let's take a look at when New York session closes, and let me show you the daily candle. So let's go back in time right here. Start a new replay window. Boom. So I'm going to turn on the indicator that will show us the power of 3. Open your indicators, higher time frame power of 3. That's the one that I use for this. And pretty much it will show us, if you see right here, it's going to show us the daily candle on the lower time frame. So how the daily candle moves, if you can see right here, we opened, we created a wick, then we ran up, we reversed during the New York session, and it's closing as a bearish candle. So there you go. And there, New York session closed, we got a new daily candle. Now, Asia session, as I said, is the first session of the day. So one of the characteristics that I like looking for is, first, you scale out and you figure out where the daily narrative is. If the daily narrative is bullish, like I said, what you're looking for is a trade in the wick below the open. So this right here is the open, right? You want to mark out where the session opened today. And this is where it opened. Then you wait for it to run down and create a wick. When it creates the wick, you look for the reversal, you look for your confirmation, and then you take a trade towards the true narrative, which would be buys, right? So if you were to do that successfully, you would be taking your trade during Asia session inside of the wick of the candle and riding it to the target that you're looking for. So you can see in here, Asia session created the wick and then expanded. London session, it had a little move in the opposite direction, and then it also continued back up towards the true narrative. New York session did the same thing, where it came back below the open, gave you another expansion up. Remember, you don't need to catch the whole move. You just need to catch a nice piece of the pie, like right here. And you would have probably closed partials at the highs. You would have managed your position, obviously. But that's what I'm telling you guys, is that each session has its own characteristic. In Asia session is typically creating the wick of the daily candle and then riding it to the true narrative. In London session, it would be the fake out move. So the fake out move happens in the first hour of London session, which starts at 11 p.m. If you guys, if we refer back to that guide that I was showing you guys, starts at 11 p.m. That's typically when the Judas swing starts, and then an hour later is when the real move happens. So you guys can see here, if we scale down to the lower time frame inside of London session, we're looking for this like fake out move in the first hour. When you get that fake out move, there you go. We got a fake out move. Now we're looking for it to start running in the true direction. So if it runs a little bit lower, you can see we took out this liquidity. Now we start looking for a reversal. What do you see here? We see a little lower time frame inverse fair value gap. One of the concepts that I covered in Marky Maker episode 1. It's an inverse fair value gap. That's one of the confirmations that I like using. When we get this inverse fair value gap, we're then looking for a trade in the true direction. We came back above it right here and used it again. Boom. And we got a true expansion during the 12 o'clock silver bullet. So that's kind of like the narrative. In the London session, I like looking for the reversal, and then after it reverses on the reversal, or it gives you confirmation towards the bias again, that's when you're looking for a trade during London session. During Asia, you're just looking for it to create a wick on the daily candle if it doesn't have one already. And then in New York session, typically you want to find where it accumulated. So if they're built up highs and lows, like we're seeing some highs and lows building up right here, during New York session, we typically get that news event, right? That's what's typically absent in other sessions, but here we got a bunch of liquidity built up. We took that out in New York session. Once again, we got an IFEG right there. So you can see lower time frame, we got the same exact confirmation during New York session, and we would have been able to catch another beautiful expansion. So that's pretty much what I want you guys to start paying attention to, is that every session has its characteristics, and you guys have to put a label on them and adapt. If it gives you what you're looking for, like for example, this daily range was still like sideways, but it gave us a big expansion in every single session. What I want you guys to pay attention to in your specific pair is what characteristic your session has. Are you primarily trading a London session pair where typically you'll get a Judas swing every single London session? Are you trading a New York session pair where the previous sessions are going to accumulate orders, highs and lows? It's going to take out those highs and lows, and then it's going to run towards the true narrative. You want to figure out what your session is going to be doing primarily and then use that to your advantage. That's it for today's episode of the Marky Maker series, where I'm covering time. If you guys learned something new, if you guys enjoyed this episode, then follow along, because I'm going to be uploading videos like this every single day until we complete this entire bootcamp for everything that you guys need to know to be profitable ICT traders. With that being said, thank you guys for getting through this video. If you guys are wondering what broker or prop firm account that I use, everything is going to be in the description, so be sure to check out those links. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.